What this is about, this talk today is about, is starting to be aware, starting to be mindful of how your environment either adds to your ability to achieve your goals or how it takes away from it. And I want you to think about this. And I want you to think a bit deeply. You can even take notes here. Think about the things that you experience in your day. Think about, we can break success down mathematically.
Welcome to the Legendary Life Podcast, where it's all about taking control of your health, losing fat, transforming your body, and living the life you deserve with celebrity fitness trainer and longevity enthusiast, Ted Rice. Is your environment helping you to achieve your goals, or is it putting up unnecessary obstacles? That's going to be the topic of conversation for today. And we're going to talk about what you can do to make things more easier. So often, especially if you are an American or you have that American mindset, you're all about hard work and you're all about willpower and you got to force yourself to do things in force, and it's hard, but you got to keep going. And, we drive ourselves to stressy, to burnout, to not enjoying life because we feel like we got to work so hard and push so hard. But the reality is that we want to flow with success. We don't want to have that Sisyphusian, if I'm saying that right, experience where Sisyphus was Greek. That story about the Greek man who had to push a boulder up the hill every day. Sounds terrible. Sounds like a good workout though, but after a while, that's going to get too tough. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to share what I've been going through personally here. So I'm going to get a bit personal today and share what I've been dealing with. And if you are just tuning in for the first time, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ted Rice, and I'm a health expert. I've been in this business for 23 years. It's all I've known and done my whole entire adult life. And I still love it even more than when I first got into it. And what I coach executives, CEOs, and other high-performing professionals. But on this podcast, what I try to do is I try to give you information that helps you to think or take action differently in your life. And on Real Talk Fridays, I like to get a little bit deeper and just share some stuff that is going on, right? Where so much is going on for all of us. So if that's what you're into, you're in the right place. Continue to listen. So let me just run things by you. After my dad died, I headed to Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Yes, even though we're in this pandemic and coronavirus numbers are going up and down and up, I took the chance. I wanted to go somewhere. I was stuck in Orlando for a while. I was in Miami for a while, but I just felt like I needed something different. And I went to Playa del Carmen, Mexico. For those of you who don't know Playa del Carmen, it's about an hour away from Cancun. And it's a bit more, Cancun's a great place to go to a resort, but it's not a great place to live. And I wasn't going to live in a resort. So I lived in Playa del Carmen. It's a great place. You can walk around. But I was starting to lose it. I was by myself, and Playa del Carmen's a bit of a party vibe. And, partying during these times, that's not something I'm going to be doing. And my social life was suffering. So Giselle, my business partner and ex-wife, in case you haven't been listening for that long, she came to see me in Playa del Carmen. We hung out for a little bit. And she said, "Hey, why don't you come with me to Brazil?" While we were together, we never made it to Brazil. I never met her family, although they've heard about me. We were together for 7 years. I didn't know if it was the right decision or not to go there, especially because the numbers in Brazil weren't good at the time and have gotten even worse. But I went for it. And then I got COVID on Christmas, the day before Christmas Eve. No, on Christmas Eve. I was feeling okay, but I had this terrible flight from Miami to Sao Paulo. It was all overnight. I couldn't sleep. And I'm pretty certain, and I was in a plane full of people going to Brazil. It was packed. It's one of those big airplanes. I don't know the number, but it had 3 rows, those big international airplanes. And since then, I've been in Brasilia, Brazil, which is the capital. It's like the Washington, D.C., except I think Washington, D.C. is quite old as a city. And Brasilia was made, it was a planned city, it was made. And I was stuck there. And where I was in Brasilia, I was staying in the hotel zone, but it was a weird vibe. The weather, it was quite rainy in Brasilia. It was hot and it was rainy. There's this red dust everywhere. Poeira vermelho, as I learned about recently. I was talking with the guy who sells agua, coconut water. And he was like, this red dust is everywhere. It's terrible, even though the city's nice. And it just wasn't a good place for me. And I was there for 3 months, but it was really wearing on me. And so I decided to come to Florianopolis, Brazil. Now, you probably never heard of Floripa, as it's known colloquially. Can't speak English, been speaking too much Portuguese here. Colloquially, I said it wrong again. But anyway, it's known by its nickname Floripa. You probably have heard of Sao Paulo. You probably heard of Rio. But Florianopolis is beautiful, beautiful. It's paradise. It's nicer than where I was in Playa del Carmen. The beaches are beautiful. The people are so nice. It's a pretty upscale neighborhood where I'm staying, and people are educated. They're a little cold too, a little colder for Brazilians, which is nowhere near as cold as if you're talking about Americans or, other Western countries. But for Brazilians, they're a little bit colder. In Brasilia, everybody says good morning to you. Bom dia, tudo bem? Boa tarde, boa noite. Everyone's saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. It's really cool. It's a little bit less. It's more kind of like, yeah, we're cool. We don't just act happy. We have money and sophistication, and so we don't like to pretend like we're happy, or whatever. Like when you go to those places that, like Miami's really well known for this. Everybody just kind of walks around with a little bit of an attitude. You say hi to someone, they just look at you like, why are you saying hi to me? So, it's in Brazil, so it's got a little bit, it's not quite like that, but it's a little bit colder compared to Brasilia and other places that I've been in Brazil. So anyway, but here I am, and I'm close to the beach. I've been walking to the beach every morning, almost every morning, and it's sunny. It's just got something about the vibe of the city I really like. And as a result, I was struggling before in Brasilia, struggling to be productive. I would wake up in the morning. It would be gloomy. It would be rainy. It would be, there was a gym I could use. Actually, the gym in my building is now closed, in the building that I'm staying in, Floripa. But the gym was open there. It was, even though I had the gym available, even though I was staying in a decent place, there was just something about it that was wearing on me. And so what I want to tell you is this. I want you to pay attention to how you feel in your environment. So many of us, we don't realize, but we are like Sisyphus, waking up every morning and pushing this big boulder up a hill. And while it's admirable, if you go through that process, if there's anything that you can do to change it, that is the goal. That is where you should put your effort towards. There's nothing noble about suffering unnecessarily. And I'm not saying like I know I live a crazy life, right? You're like, well, Ted, I'm not, I can't just, I don't like it in this city, so I'm going to fly to a new city, right? You may not have that ability. Even if you're doing well financially, you may not, your kids might be in school, or you may have to go to the office. You may not have the same opportunities, but this isn't about me and what I do and how you should follow what I do. What this is about, this talk today is about, is starting to be aware, starting to be mindful of how your environment either adds to your ability to achieve your goals or how it takes away from it. And I want you to think about this. And I want you to think a bit deeply. You can even take notes here. Think about the things that you experience in your day. Think about, we can break success down mathematically. I don't know about you, but I have this feeling like, whoa, it's just so complicated. Oh, there's just so many variables, right?
or we get stuck into the feeling of how we're right of our feelings. We get stuck in how we're feeling. We can't really see the details. But the reality is it's mathematical. If we have more positive experiences than negative experiences from our environment, we're going to do better. And the same is true with relationships as well. In fact, check out John Gottman. This is a bit of a tangent, but relevant, I think. John Gottman, what he did was, people talk a lot, right? Oh, this is why I'm having this problem, and I have this problem with my wife or my husband, and this is a problem. Let's talk and think and think and talk. And the reality is, it's not really about what we say. It's about how we feel, and then how we feel drives our rationalizations, our speech, our choice of words, the story that we tell ourselves. But it starts with the feeling. And what John Gottman did is he was like, yeah, I'm not going to listen to anything either one of you say. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put you in a sound controlled booth, and I'm going to measure your blood pressure, your pulse, your breathing rate, and your galvanic skin response. And if you've never heard of galvanic skin response, it's really interesting. Have you ever gotten really, I don't know if you're like me, but if you could show me one of those crazy videos, remember the videos a couple years ago that were going around of these guys that would climb up these tall towers and stand on the top with no safety harness and take selfies or do videos? My hands are actually, even talking about it, my hands are getting sweaty right now. So in other words, when we're stressed, it's so funny, my hands are actually a little clammy right now. So when we're stressed, we start sweating, and it can be even imperceptible, but it happens. And so what John Gottman did is he put couples in a booth and measured these things, and he was able to deduce, not by what people said, but how they feel on whether or not they were going to stay together. Fantastic stuff. Make sure you go to YouTube and Google John Gottman, Gottman, The Science of Love. He did a TEDx talk, just fantastic. It will blow your mind. And I want to argue that the same is true for our environment. It's not about what we say, because, and it's so funny when I used to run group coaching, with the group coaching program, and we'd have our group calls. We would sometimes it would come up, oh, my life is actually pretty good. I shouldn't be unhappy. I should be more grateful. And perhaps that's true. But the reality is, we can't talk ourselves out of a feeling. Actually, you can do that, but it requires basically working with a coach or a therapist to start to reframe those beliefs. You can't just tell yourself, hey, you shouldn't feel this way. At least most of us can't do that. What needs to happen is we need to start to become aware. How does my environment add to stress or take away stress? Does it put me in the zone or not? And let me tell you, I'm in the zone right now. And you could even make some arguments that my place in Brasilia was better. I had maid service once a day. Someone came in and cleaned my place once a day. It was a little less expensive. It had a gym that was open, and it was clean. It was nice. I was in a 1-bedroom in Brasilia. I'm in a studio here. It's a large studio, almost the same size as my 1-bedroom apartment back in Brasilia. But actually, no, the other one was bigger. But the point is this: there are so many good things about the place in Brasilia, but the end result isn't about what we put on paper. It's about how we feel. And it doesn't matter the pros and the cons. Although some what's called cognitive restructuring can help there, where you go through things and start to challenge your thoughts and beliefs about things. But I'll tell you, I feel better here. And so often people have to go on vacation to get some perspective about how their environment is affecting them. And let me tell you, if you can go on vacation, do it. Get some perspective. If you're afraid to go on vacation, or for whatever reason you can't, I feel for you. But what I want to suggest to you is start to become more aware about the things in your environment that work for you and the things that don't. And after you become aware of the things that don't work for you,
What can you do to change them? So funny. I felt so bad in the other place. I never even unpacked my clothes fully. I was a mess in that apartment in Brasilia. Here, I really like this place a lot. It's a nice place. It's not amazing, but it's nice. It's something about it is a step up, and I make my bed every morning. Although truth be told, haven't done it yet today, but I make my bed almost every morning. I've got my clothes put away. Oh, also one thing, it's like I didn't have a place to wash my clothes in the last place, and that's really frustrating for me. And here I got a washer dryer inside the apartment, which is, by the way, most Brazilians don't have that. In Brasilia, people don't usually have that. It's uncommon. People, I don't know what they do, to be honest, but it's uncommon. So back to you and your place. What are the things that are working for you? And what are the things that are becoming an obstacle or have been an obstacle? And what can you do differently? And if you need a little bit of help with this, certainly making your bed, organizing your place. For those of you who are like me and you're a little bit messy, that's something that can go a long way. Trying to be productive, especially if you're working at home and you're just in a messy place, the clutter takes up RAM in your brain. Like random access memory, that thing on your computer where you've got too many windows open, so nothing works well because you've got too much going on. The same, I would argue, is true of human beings. If you've got too much going on in the background, could be messy place, it could be a noisy place, it could be you haven't set clear boundaries with the people that you live with, your family, your husband, wife, whatever, kids. You haven't set boundaries with them. You could be in a place where the weather is not conducive to you feeling good all the time. I told my client who was in Michigan, who started to become more sedentary and have struggle with more negative feelings as the weather changed. You got to really ask yourself, if you're stuck financially and you just can't move, I get it. Or if you've got family and you don't want to be away from them, I get it. But you got to understand two things. One, it's your choice to be there. And two, there's a price to pay. And there's always a price to pay, right? There's pros and cons to everything. For example, where I'm staying now, it's more expensive, so I've got to pay more money. For me, it's worth it because I'll make more money when I'm feeling better. My problem isn't that I can't make money. My problem has been I need to work more to be more productive, to get the things done that I need to. And so my productivity has been better, even though it's cost me money to do it. It's more of an investment, you would say. Sometimes it's the relationships in our lives is part of our environment. And I'll tell you, just very honestly, I was with Giselle in Brasilia. And as much as I love her and care about her and we're friends and we're business partners and we, even though we're not together as husband and wife, we just have this connection that's so special. And her family is my family. And it's hard to ever imagine her not in my life. It was hard to be there with her because we were falling into, even though we're not together, we were falling into this pattern of her interrupting me when I was in the zone and then me interrupting her when she was in the zone. And both of us were getting very frustrated. So this separation, although it's hard, again, there's a price to pay. I miss her, right? But, and I'm more lonely here. That's the price to pay, but it's worth it overall because her productivity is better and my productivity is better. So you've got to look at the relationships in your life as well. How are they adding to your stress or how are they taking away stress? So interesting. When someone wants to work with me and do coaching, one of the things, I don't know what you think goes on those breakthrough calls, but one of the things I'll tell you is I try to make sure that a person isn't distracting themselves from a bigger issue in their life and coming to me so that they can just kind of distract themselves from a problem and just get in shape. I need to make sure that person is on point because if they're not solving the root problem, then it's going to be a hard journey for them and a hard journey for me. And hard, it's always hard, right? There's always struggles involved. Not always, I guess, but there's some challenge. I got some clients who it's so smooth sailing. I got
one client now, shout out to you, Damon, if you're listening, just smooth sailing. And he's done so well, this guy. I can't wait to have him on the show and share his story. And runs a successful business, has a loving family, and just crushing it right now. And he's down about 15 pounds in 8 months. And 8 months? No, I'm sorry. 8 weeks. Sorry about that. 8 months. No way. He'd be like fitness cover model ready in 8 months. But no, in 8 weeks, he's down about 15 pounds. And so interesting. That's one of the secrets of the coaching success that I do is as I've been a coach, I've gotten better at pre-qualifying people. Not to be arrogant or anything like that, or like, no, this is the red velvet rope. You can't get in unless you're cool enough. It's just to make sure someone is emotionally healthy enough to do the things and to stay on track. Because I've made the mistake in the past where I really wanted to help the person, right? I wanted to get paid, but I really wanted to help the person. It wasn't a good fit. And so part of what I've been able to do now is really qualify people. And I want you to take that away as well, is if you're trying to achieve goals in your life, you've got to be emotionally healthy to make it happen. You can't be dragging a lot of baggage around. Can't be having your environment a mess. You can't be having your relationships a mess. You can't be having your finances a mess, right? Well, actually, that's not true. I do well financially, but I'm like, my finances are a little bit of a mess. It's one of the things that we're working on, catching up with some of the taxes and doing some other things. And we've just been focused on growing the business and being successful and making money. And we've done that. But now we're just, it's a constant process. And I share that with you because so many people think I have this amazing life. And I do. Okay, I do. I'm super grateful. I work from my computer in whatever destination I want in the world. I live a luxury lifestyle. Different from other people's luxury lifestyle where they're, in their mansion in Miami Beach and they got their Ferrari or whatever, like so many of my clients, or I had one client with a Rolls Royce Phantom and a driver, that's not the luxury life that I want. I really want my freedom and I love travel. And so the point is really setting ourselves, I share this stuff with you because even in spite of living this lifestyle, I still have my struggles. And I think that's the truth behind everyone who you see who's successful or has some crazy lifestyle, like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Even Oprah, she's talked about her weight problems and some of the struggles that she's had. Everyone's struggling, right? And so the goal is like to achieve our goals, we've got to bring our lives into balance as much as possible. I know some people don't like that word balance, but because there is no definition of perfect balance for every person, it is individual. And also sometimes to be in balance, we need to be out of balance, right? We need to unbalance ourselves because we've tipped the scale too far. For example, sometimes a lot of the time, people say in America, high achievers, high performers, they'll shift the balance to their work and their health will suffer, their relationships will suffer. So to bring them back into balance, we've got to be a little unbalanced and spend and cut back on the time that they're spending at work and the money that they're making. Oh gosh, money is amazing, right? It can buy happiness for sure. But if you're not investing in it, in happiness, or if you're not investing in relationships, if you're not investing in your health, then it really doesn't buy it. It can buy happiness, but it depends on what you invest in. So sometimes we need to tip that scale and invest in ourselves more. And certainly if you can do that in your environment, do it. One of the most powerful things that you can do. And I want to ask you now, what is your big takeaway from this talk? How are you applying this information in your life? What is coming into your mind as we get into this episode, as we talk more about my story and you think more about your story? What is coming up for you? And what is something that you could take action on today? What is a small action that you could take today?
And that is what I want to leave you with. Go do that. Less thinking, less listening, less watching, more action. Okay? Because we learn really through taking action. Now, sometimes we've been too action oriented and we need to shift it back, but that's not the case for most people. Most people, they've been thinking too much and paralysis by analysis. So what is the action that you can take after this episode? And please don't say, well, I'm going to go download another episode and listen to that. It's not really an action that we're talking about. We're talking about what is one thing you can do for your environment or perhaps for your relationships or perhaps for your health to what can you go do, right? And if it's for your health, give me a plank hold or give me some push-ups or give me some bodyweight squats or do a wall sit. I don't care if you're at work. Oh gosh, I got to share these isometric workouts that you can do at work. So powerful. So that's what I would leave you with, right? What is one thing that you can take action with? And again, I want to thank you so much for listening to this episode. On Fridays, it allows me to go a bit deeper into my story, what I've learned, what's going on in the world, what's relevant to our lives, and most importantly, what we can do to break the cycle that we're living in and to create the life that we deserve. And that is it for me. So hope you have an amazing weekend. I don't hope you have. How about this? Make sure you have an amazing weekend. Remember, you are stronger than you realize. You've got more power than you realize. Go take action, and I will speak to you then. Enjoy and love you lots. Speak to you soon.
Are you a busy professional who's crushing it in your career or in growing your business, but you're struggling to lose weight and transform your body while fitting in your social life as well as your work obligations? If the answer is yes, well, let me help you get into the best shape of your life while thriving in your business. Go to legendarylifepodcast.com/apply and schedule a 15-minute strategy call with me today.